What's going on, everybody? My name is Marcus. Welcome back to another live stream. Hopefully, you guys are doing well out there. Let me know if you guys can hear me in the chat. I've been having some audio issues lately with this here microphone. So much for Yeti being top quality. So yeah, hopefully you guys are doing well. Hopefully sales are going well for you. I know Q4 is a little challenging for a lot of people right now, which is part of the video. That's why I titled it "Why is Reselling So Hard Right Now." So I'll wait till we get a few people in the chat, and we'll go ahead and start talking about this topic. Or matter of fact, I could just go ahead and start talking about it now, so that way those of you catching this on the replay can go ahead and get as much value as you can as early as you can in the live stream. So probably one of the most number one reasons why reselling is so hard right now is just simply there's not that much money to be spending on what you're selling. If you're choosing to sell an item that isn't in demand, let's just say for some reason you're selling antique tools, that's not really in demand. While that's a very niche and very eclectic category to sell in, competition might not be the highest. The demand also is not the highest as well. So those are going to be long tail items. So if you choose to sell an item that your foundation is a long tail, not frequent sell, you're kind of choosing to put yourself in a hard category to be prevalent in right now. So make sure that if you guys choose to, especially new people getting in this game, you guys kind of have free reign to experiment with a lot of different things. So you could sell some of everything, right? But when you find something that starts working, try making that one of your foundation type of items uh to continue putting in your business. So for instance, in my store, I sell predominantly men's clothes. I do sell some women's items, but the bulk of my items that go out, the top five categories for me are all men's clothing. So I continue to pick up men's clothing. Now, do I still pick up women's clothing? Yeah, because they still sell. So it's like a foundation type pieces rather, but it's not the bulk of my store. So in contrast, out of 100, let me see exactly how much inventory my store is worth. Let's see real quick. Now this is all, taken with a grain of salt because at the end of the day, I have $200,000 worth of inventory listed, but I'm gonna take offers and send coupons and stuff like that on quite a bit of it. So it's only really worth what someone's willing to pay. But out of $200,000 worth of inventory, I'm thinking without verifying for sure, but I know that uh probably 130,000 of that is going to be men's clothing and 70,000 of it's going to be women's clothing. And I do have to take into consideration some of that's actually kids' clothes as well too, but that's still $70,000 worth of inventory. Uh, Needless to say, $70,000 of inventory is not nothing to sneeze at. So I'm gonna speak to some people in the chat, and then we'll get back to uh, more reasons why reselling's hard. What's up, Miss Lachey? Wow, wow's this and that reselling. What's going on, man? Miss Q, how you doing? Uh, Now my freaking computer's not working. Oh, there we go. Linda, what's going on? Hello from Northern California. Hello from Missouri. Katorch. Hey, thanks for all the information you provide. Thank you for watching. Glad to provide it. Anna says, first time catching you live. Welcome. Glad to have you here. Marilyn, what's going on? How you doing? Hey, from Arkansas. What up? What up? What up? Tracy, how's it going? Nice tree, man. I got it just to have, something. It's like a little tiny tree, not very big at all, because it's just me, man. Had to have something to be a little festive. Appreciate it though. What's up, Bobby? How you doing? Says hi to the chat. Make sure to hit the thumbs up. Miss Lachey says thank you. Hey Sheila, what's going on? I hope everything's good with you. I'm doing good. Can't complain. Thanks for buying stuff from me on Poshmark the other day. Mr. Guy Man Jr. says hello. What up? What up? So another reason why reselling is hard right now is because there's just less money to go around, which I think that ties into the first reason. So since there's less money to go around, especially with it being uh, Christmas time right now, you want to be selling the items that are super in demand. So um, we got to be strategizing, you know, Christmas gifts, things like that. What's trending right now? What are people wearing? You got to consider who wants Christmas gifts. Younger people, right? I don't know very many people my age and up that are like, I want Christmas gifts. You know what I mean? Because they've got kids to buy for, or if they do, they don't want like 20 gifts. You know, they might just want one item. So be focusing the items that you're picking up for the age category of people that want gifts. Me selling clothing, I know that the 20-ish crowd, 25-ish, those are still types of people that are going to be buying like clothing frivolously. So therefore, I'm trying to buy stuff that people are looking for, which leads me to alternative routes of finding what's trending. So I go to Instagram a lot, and I look at the clothing that's being sold on Instagram, or like that the youth are wearing. Um, and while I might not think any of it's fashionable, it's the predominant way people are dressing. So that's the type of stuff that I need to be buying. And so that's what I pick up when I go to the bins and I look at the younger people, the younger crowd. I see what they're wearing, and they're wearing a lot of stuff that um, I wouldn't think would be fashionable, but just because that's not how I dress doesn't mean that's not, something that people are going to be looking for. So I'm buying a lot of the baggy stuff. I'm buying a lot of the Carpenter jeans, workwear jeans, Dickies, Carhartt, things like that, items with tears and rips in them. I'm buying that. Items with like cool stains on them. I'm buying it. And by stains, I don't mean like brown dirt stains. I mean like paint splatter and things that look cool. So that sells for me. So I buy it. Trending sportswear like Nike Tech joggers, Nike Tech suits. Things like that. And then you also have to put into consideration a little bit of experience based on your previous experience. What weird things do you sell? Case in point, James, my boy in reseller life, sells weird hats. Not like, don't get me wrong, he sells baseball and like sportswear hats, but like he's selling all these one off, like, no name, no unknown logo hats. That's his niche that sells for him. I sell a bunch of t-shirts that have like no like popular graphic on it, but they're cool looking graphics. So that's that type of stuff sells. So I continue to pick it up. So if you can find like, let's just throw out let's just say Carhartt wasn't popular, but you knew that it sold well, so you continued picking it up. Um, that's the type of thing that I'm talking about. If you have an untapped market or something that people pass up all the time when you go out thrifting, pick that stuff up. There's tons of items that I pick up that nobody picks up that are my bread and butter, like that I will not pass up no matter what. I'm not going to throw it out here on this channel because I've created a tremendous amount of competition for myself in my bins, a tremendous amount of competition at my bins. People literally drive from hours away, just like I do, to go to my bins. And I'm really sticking my foot in my mouth a lot of times, which is why I have not made a bins video in so long. Um, it's it's so competitive there now. So find what sells well for you and continue to pick that stuff up. Increase the amount of that stuff you're buying. And if it continues to sell well, you found yourself a fundamental, foundational item that you need to continue putting into your store. Let's see here. JP says, hello from Houston. What up? What up? Shayna, what's going on? Sheila says my granddaughter is wearing old lady clothes. Right. There's this kid I was talking to the other day. I think he's 15, and I said granny clothes. I said girls your age are wearing granny clothes right now. He didn't understand what I was saying. He's like, nobody's dressing like that. And then I showed him pictures of what girls are wearing now. He said, yeah, they're dressing like that at my school. And I was like, it's called granny core. And he's like, I didn't know that, but definitely 15, 16-year-old kids are wearing this stuff at his school. So it's just the day we live in nowadays. Um, but hey, I buy it because it sells. Miss Lachey says, "Yeah, these youngsters wearing work pants like they got a job, right?" And I think that's just part of it. Some of them are wearing it because their favorite influencers wearing it. Some people are wearing it because they want to seem like they are out here really working. And we all know, that's selling, so we're gonna pick it up. And if you don't pick it up, then somebody else is gonna pick it up. Yep, granny core and grandpa core, and the girls are wearing grandpa core too. I seen two girls. They were in the bin across from me, and there was a sweater that I left in the bin that they were in, and I went over to the bin that I was in, and then they came up right behind me, picked up the sweater. The one girl was so excited. She's like, "Oh, I love Grandpa Core. I just picked the sweater up like this last week." And then her friend was like, "Oh, this is so cool." And I was like, "Dang, man, I should have picked that up, and sold it." But, and that's two teenage girls, or I don't know, they might have been in college. I don't know. Kids all look so young nowadays, uh, because I'm getting older. But yeah, I got caught sleeping. I could have had that item. Marilyn says, "I come to realize as a used clothing seller, Q4 isn't a big deal. My big deal is after Christmas when everyone is spending their Christmas money they received as gifts." Yeah, about April. April really pops off for me. First 2 months of January are okay, but it's like March and April that really pop off for me around the time when like taxes come in and things like that. Tracy said I hit my max number of listings before Black Friday, and I back can't start back listing until December 1st. I made sales, but since I have not been able to list, will that hurt my sales once I start back? Nothing's permanent, and as soon as you start practicing some consistency again, sales will pick back up. My question to you is, why are you letting cents hold up dollars? Why not just buy a store subscription to where you don't have to worry about this anymore? A basic store subscription is what, 20 some dollars. Let me look real quick. Because you can really just get you a store subscription and not have to worry about that. um and that's what I did when I started running out of listings and I started having to pay for listings. I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna get me a store. So a basic store subscription is 21.95 if you agree to be a member for a year. 21.95, and you get 1,000 listings a month for free and 25-cent additional fixed listing after that. So I don't know if you have a store at all yet, but a starter store is 4.95, and that's 250. But if you're already running out of 250, then you might want to consider getting a basic store. All you gotta do is sell one item and it'll pay for itself. And you don't let the signing up for a year make you think you have to pay for it all in one year. You don't. You just gotta pay a monthly cost. Let's see. Women's men inspired business attire is trending. That's probably why. Women's men inspired. So like women's clothing that looks like men's clothing. I could see that. Um, I got a few granny core items listed, knitted sweaters and crochet items, and some embroidery shirts. Yeah, I just sold two granny sweatshirts yesterday and a sweatshirt that said "World's Coolest Grandpa" on it. So don't sleep. Yeah, you can also do that. Sheila makes a good point, Tracy. You can request a limit increase if you have been selling successfully for, enough time to prove yourself worthy of the increase. You have a starter store, yeah, go ahead and bump it on up. Or you could just call them. Call them right now and ask them to increase your level. They might only give you 100 or so extra listings, but I would think that at the first of the month, you might as well just go up to a basic store. What do you got to lose? You get cheaper insertion fees as well too. So um, all you gotta do is sell one more item a month, and it'll pay for itself. Uh, New sellers have initial listing limits even with the store subscription. Yeah, that's true too. The store that I have now, I started out with 250 listings. Um, But I called them at 2 weeks in and was like, "Hey, can I get a listing increase or a limit increase?" And they did. They bumped it up to from 250, I think, to like 500. And then I called back at 500 and they bumped it up to 1,000. And then after 1,000, I'll start maxing out that, and then I bumped up to paying for a store subscription because um after that, I already had 1,000 items listed, so just relisting my items every month was using my 1,000 up, nonetheless talking about some listing 20 every day, you know what I mean? So that's when I bumped it up to the premium store, and I have that now. It's 10,000 items. I got 9,200 items listed in my store. So, I'm cutting it real close now, but since I'm only listing 20 a day and got 9,200 items listed, I haven't ran out of listings yet. Um, let's see here. I called them goosebumps to next level. Going to bump to next level. Okay. The premium store is where it's at. 10K. Yep. That's where I'm at. Do you have any great keywords for Henley shirts? Yeah, heritage, outdoor, lumberjack. It just depends on the look of it too, like what the pattern is on it. Rugged, those types of words. Because you got to think like when you think of a Henley shirt, it's usually like some dude with the sleeves pulled up to his elbows. He's got like the scruffy beard, probably some really nice hair going on, like Jason Momoa. He's got the chest hanging out, stuff like that, and it's just the whole vibe. So you gotta think about these things like that. Like, who is the target audience? What does the person that look like wears this stuff? And then how do you explain that person? And all those words that you would use to explain someone are the keywords. I'm enjoying cross listing. Love having more eyes on my items. That's what's up. Sheila signed up to Vendu with my link and sold something. Was it the first day, Sheila? I think it was. I think she sold something on Poshmark the first day of cross listing. Did any of you guys check out American Thrift Supplies? Fair pricing for inventory. I don't even have that store near me. I just heard about this store for the first time from somebody that lives in California uh, last week. I didn't know this thing. I never heard of this store before. Um, yep, Sheila sold some the first day. Way to go. So if you guys want to sign up for Vendu, you get 25% off with my link down below in the description. You could probably sell something on your first day too. Layers or layered for a Henley? I wonder why you would use those. My daughter and kids are my daughter and kids her age are wearing men's plaid PJ pants. Out I saw a dude at the gym the other day. I don't know, it couldn't have been much more than 18 or 19. He was at the gym in pajama pants. I don't get it. But yeah, it's different nowadays. Online store company. Okay. Yeah, I never heard of it until the other day. Um, another reason why reselling is so hard right now is because people aren't willing to put in the work. I think there's a lot of people that got into this game when everything was going crazy with all the, stimulus cash, and you could literally like list this used bottle of lotion and sell it for like 20 bucks. Um, those days are gone, right? The money's drying up. The government's removing all the extra cash from circulation, and there's not a lot of people that could just frivolously buy stuff because thrift stores were closed and they just wanted to shop for something to do. Nowadays, people are buying things out of necessity more than they are out of impulse shopping. Now, I'm not going to say that people aren't impulse shopping because the credit card debt in the world is now higher than any other debt out there, even higher than student loan debt. So, actually, that's auto loan debt. Still, credit card debt's up pretty high, like 25, 35% over last year. So people are still buying the things that they want. They're just charging it to a credit card. So I'm not saying that people aren't still shopping for things, but you got to be more mindful of people want something that's going to last longer or have multiple purposes or just be like durable, rugged, utility, last quite a few years instead of like buying like a what's a cheap brand like a time and true pair of jeans that might bust if you bend over and you ate too much, turkey on Thanksgiving. Stuff like that, you know what I mean? Like they're looking for stuff that has uh a lifeline in it. So be mindful of the things that you're putting in your store because these days where you could just list anything or over with. A subscriber asked me to talk about things that I used to sell, or like things that I picked up when I first started reselling, that I still have that were bad buys, and I'll show you guys some of that stuff in the next video, because I still have some totes of items that are just bad items. I list clothing every day, and some of these items uh, just slip through the cracks for one reason or another. Probably due to bad title, or just me not knowing how to make a quality listing when I started. And like Wrangler jeans, I sell Wrangler jeans every single day. But the other day, I sold a pair of Wrangler jeans that had been listed for over 2 years. Same type of jeans that I sell almost daily. Um, slip through the cracks for one reason or another. So that's another thing too. But I will go over that in the next video. Um, Tracy says, "Is Vendu better than Flip?" I don't use Flip for cross listing. I use it to share, so I don't know honestly. Um, Jay says, "I have never seen a Q4 like this in 5 years on eBay. For the doubters on if inflation isn't affecting wants, I'm a believer." There's going to be people that don't agree with it, and there's going to be people that do. I'm not here to win votes or have people agree with me. I'm just stating the obvious. I personally don't buy certain things because it just doesn't make any sense for me to buy it. I want a new pair of shoes. Do I need a new pair of shoes? No, so I'm not buying a new pair of shoes, right? It just makes no sense. I have 4 pairs of shoes in my closet that I don't wear whatsoever. Never even wore them, and I want a new pair of shoes. So I don't need it, so I'm not going out and buying it because I'm not wearing the 4 pairs of shoes that's in my closet right now. I got a pair of on clouds in there. I spent $180 on. I haven't worn them in a year. There's nothing wrong with those shoes. I just don't wear them. You know what I mean? So like, what am I gonna go out and buy another pair of shoes for? I just got to be responsible. Um, so there's people out there that have no what's the word, self control, and they just buy on impulse. Henley over a long sleeve tee or a turtleneck. Okay. Um, Biff Buffalo, what's going on, bro? It's good that it's hard, and it's good that it takes work. There needs to be a barrier. Yeah, because if it was easy, everybody would do it, right? And I'm glad that there are people that um get in and succeed. I know there's a lot of people that are glad that people get in and fail and jump out of the game. My goal is to see everybody win. So I don't get any joy out of seeing people leave the game, whether they're competition for me or not. I want everybody to win. That's why I get on here and I give away, all the information that I can to you guys for free. It seems people aren't willing to take the time to gain the knowledge needed to be successful. There's there's multiple reasons for that, right? There's multiple reasons for that. People come to YouTube to find bolos and brands, which I used to do it too. But there's nothing like doing your own research. I promise you, you can listen to YouTubers say, "Oh, I picked this up and I sold this and I sold that," but they're not telling you how long they sat on it for. They're not telling you this size sells better. You know, what I mean, and that information is out there, right? But the majority of people are going to be like, "I picked this up, I sold this for blah blah blah." They're not telling you, "I paid $50 for this thing to sell it for 75 and it took 2 years." They're not telling you all those fine details, right? So the best thing you can do is just learn how to look things up for yourself. If you could spend $2 on this pair of jeans, sell it for 25 bucks, and it should sell in 90 days, that's probably a good idea to pick that item up. But if someone's telling you, "Oh, I sold these Ann Taylor Loft jeans for 20 bucks," they're not telling you that they sat on them for a year and that size 2 takes forever to move. You know what I mean? It's just things like that. So while I can watch someone's video, I'm not going to know right off the top of my head that Adriana Goldschmidt jeans sell better in men's than they do in women's. And so, like, if I'm seeing someone sell this pair of jeans for like 50 bucks, and I'm like, "Oh, that's a good item. Let me go pick that up." Then I go do comp research, and I see that, like, in the high end, they're selling for 30 bucks in women's, and it's still going to take about 6 months to get rid of. Then I was fooled by somebody on YouTube, because they didn't tell me all the information. So at the end of the day, it's just best for you to do as much research, look thousands and thousands of items up on your own, and you're gonna be your best teacher. right? You can learn brands to look for, but no one's going to be able to tell you, the way that your own market research will tell you, unless you don't know how to do the research the correct way. If you're looking up items and basing item prices off active listings, it's probably not the best way to get a true value of the item without checking sold comps, which is what thrift stores are doing. And they're like, oh, this item's for sale on eBay for 300 bucks, but it's really only worth 35. You know what I mean? Sustainable. What's sustainable? Hmm. Is Vendu better than Flip? Then you said sustainable. I'm not sure what you mean by sustainable, Tracy. I think I might have gotten lost in the delay of the time you typed that message to when I read it. Most are looking to copy and paste exactly, which is why, I can't stop anyone from coming to my store. And people will tell me all the time, I sell similar from your store. That's not going to help you guys. Selling similar from my store will not help you guys one bit. Yeah, you have a listing that's done, but there's certain things I don't fill out in my listings, item specifics that I don't fill out in my listings. Um, I do things a certain way inside my store because along with everything else I do inside my store, it's what works for me. But if all you're doing is copying my listing, but you don't understand why I'm doing it the way that I'm doing it, you're not going to see the same results. It's just not going to work. So I used to do that too. I used to copy tech and sports listings, right? And it didn't help me out none whatsoever. His pricings are way lower than mine. You know what I mean? And it's just different. It's different. You can't do what someone does without knowing why they do it. And I never tell I don't talk about it on my channel why I do certain things the way that I do. I talk about why I do the majority of the things that I do, but I'm not giving away all the sauce on YouTube. That's what the Patreon's for. So if you guys are like just trying to copy my store and hoping to have the same success, I really hope it works for you. But in order to do exactly the way that I do it, you're going to have to know why I do it the way that I do it. And copying and pasting isn't always the best option. Your Biff Baffo's comments are legendary for sure. What's up, Rob? How you doing, bro? Flip doesn't auto delist sold items. I'm using it for sharing Posh. I've heard that. I've heard that it doesn't delist. And I've heard that in the actual Flip Facebook page that they make you join when you sign up to use Flip. I haven't bought clothes for myself since November last year. Yeah, me neither. Actually, I take that back. I bought some clothes from Old Navy of all places when I went to Florida a few months ago, but I get all my clothes from the bins. What's up, Billy? How you doing, bro? I'm doing well, man. What about you? One of the biggest reasons people are having trouble is not learning from eBay. eBay will tell you exactly how to build a listing to get more views and sales. There is everything you need to know is in eBay, but people don't like to read things. It's like a buyer will look at the first photo in your listing and then message you a question about what's in the second photo. All they would have had to do was look at the photos, or they message you a question about what's in the condition description, and all they had to do was look at the listing and read the condition description that's literally underneath the title. People want you to do the work for them. It takes more time for them to type you in than sit back and wait for you to respond than it would be if they just looked at the listing thoroughly. Everything's in the listing. Jay says people don't also realize that a bolo that someone finds in Florida might not be a realistic item to find in North Dakota. Best to research brands and trends you find in your area. 100%. 100%. If you live in a cold climate or like in an area where like there's a lot of like factories or construction or like outdoor work, you're gonna have a really great chance to find like Carhartt, Dickies, Duluth, brands that are like suited for like workwear. If you live in like the Pacific Northwest, you're gonna find Arc'teryx, Patagonia, North Face, Mountain Hardwear, these brands that sell really well, cool, But if you live in Florida, you ain't finding no Patagonia and Cool and Mountain Hardwear jackets and stuff like that to any large degree. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, can you find it? You find anything anywhere, but how often are you going to find that? Are you going to find it every time you go out, or are you going to find it once a year? You know what I mean? So that's why you just got to learn what you see all the time. I learned in my area that certain things that I see all the time are valuable for me to pick up. Um, But when I go traveling to other locations, I don't find that stuff. So I'm thankful that it's stuff that I can find in my area in a decent amount for me to pick it up because I'm not finding it when I go to other thrift stores. But when I go to other thrift stores, I find stuff that I don't have in my area. Went to Houston, they got a lot of area out down there. They got a lot of like flame resistant Carhartt, other things like that because there's a lot of like what's the name of that freaking oil or some type of factory down there in Houston, like in Galveston or wherever it is. Um, so people work at factories down there. They need these flame resistant clothing. You can find that stuff in abundance down there and sell it nationwide because that stuff sells. Research and experience goes hand in hand, 100%. Mike says I switched from eBay to to local selling and live shows with Whatnot and Posh. eBay made me switch up my business, sink or swim. That's the most that's the most important thing one can do. In life, you will face adversity, whether it's in business, whether it's amongst your peers, whether it's in a relationship with your spouse. You will face adversity, and it's how you adapt to that. What do you do when faced with struggle? Do you fold? Do you fight or flight? Do what you do when you're faced with a challenge says a lot about the person you are. And so if eBay's not giving you the traction you want to see, do you just give up on reselling or do you say, I'm gonna make this work no matter what? One way or another, I'm still gonna stay in business for myself. And that's what switching to the local selling can do and live selling. Me personally, I've signed up for Whatnot. I have not started selling on Whatnot. And if eBay ever gets to the point to where it's not doing it for me, I can consider doing Whatnot because I'm not closed-minded. Although I don't want to do Whatnot, if it's what I need to do, I will. I feel like if you're stuck in being romantic to only selling on eBay like I used to be, then you're going to be missing out. I made a few $1,000s selling on Poshmark that I never would have made of if I hadn't started selling on Poshmark. You know what I mean? And so I think you did the right thing, Mike. You did what works for you, and you're seeing the results pay off. It's like Chatty Pete. I don't know if you guys know who Chatty Pete is. He's a UK seller, but him and his wife go to the rag house and do Whatnot stream straight from the rag. And Chatty Pete used to consistently hit the charity shops up and pick like items that would only net him 5 times his buy cost. You know what I mean? And he'd go out and he'd buy like 5 or 10 items in a whole day. Now he's selling hundreds of items from the rag house with his wife on Whatnot. Here Tornado, selling hundreds of items on a live from Whatnot. Chris Flip the World was not on Whatnot. He was only on eBay and Poshmark. Now he's pretty much only on Whatnot, selling the banger items on eBay. So you know Renzi only on Whatnot now, and they used to be only on Poshmark. So you got to do what's going to work for you. And if you're too scared to even try things, then you're never going to know if there's a better way out there. So that's why I said in my video the other day, yesterday, and I think it might have came off wrong because of the way I said it. I said you can never get better by doing the same thing, and I didn't mean that because in order to get better, you must do the same thing. You got to practice a habit, right? You got to acquire the skills to be able to do that one thing better. But you can never evolve in business by doing the same thing year over year because there's going to be things that go against you. The items you're buying are going to sell for less because the market gets flooded or the thrift stores charge more for it, so you're going to make less money off it. So if I did eBay the way I started doing it when I first got into the game, I probably would be out of business right now. But I've evolved year over year, and I'll evolve. The way I do it now is not the way I'll do it next year. The way I do it now is not the way I started out this year doing it. So if you're stuck doing something one way because you think your way is the only way to do it, you might get rolled over. So you got to be willing to pivot. You got to be willing to see the writing on the wall and adapt. eBay's telling you that things are not going to be the way that you're used to. They've already come out and said next year is going to be weird. They've already said it. We can't give you any idea of how to run your eBay next year because we don't know what it's going to be like next year. So if you're expecting eBay to be peaches and cream next year, you're already in for a rude awakening. So we just got to be willing to adapt. Biff Babo says, I put some wild stuff out there. I'm here to ask questions, challenge people, and find truth. It's all respect, though. Someone has to take the other side. I like that, though, Biff. Sometimes you got, and that's Biff would probably be a good friend, right? Like a real true friend, like someone that's gonna push you to do better, someone that's gonna ask you hard questions because too many fake friends are out there. They'll be like, "Oh, you're doing great, bud," or "Oh, you don't need to stop eating donuts," or like, "Oh, take it easy in the gym," like Biff would probably be the guy. And I'm not just saying that because he's got food on his picture. He's probably not going to be the guy to push you in the gym, but I feel like he would challenge you as far as making you a better person in business. And we need more people like that. I think even with clothes, you need to further niche down. Yeah, look at what you've done over the year, Billy. You've niched down quite a bit just in our private conversations. The things that you used to pick up, you don't pick up anymore. The item cost or the selling price, you don't pick up certain items that don't go for certain amounts of money. So evolution. Marilyn says my main problem is that I'm a slow lister. I'm fast at listing, but I also pay someone to do listing for me now because at the end of the day, my time is worth more than me sitting here spending a couple hours listing when I could just pay someone to do that task for me. Um, it's just not worth it. Do you use templates for your listing? I sell similar from my own listings. So my listings are optimized to where you can just find the same item or something close to it and sell similar from my current listings and then change what's necessary to be changed inside of it. So Paul, how you doing, bro? I'm a reseller. What's going on? Says evening to everyone else as well. I wish people would stop complaining there's zero reason you can't be successful without doing your own due diligence. 100%. You just got to really be willing to go for it, right? I come from nothing, man. Like I've never had anything, right? And all the stuff that I had, I got the wrong way from being in the streets, right? So like I've never had to work hard for anything until I started doing eBay. Like even with my regular jobs, like I like yeah, I'd be the manager at Golden Corral, but that's like you go in there, they're going to pay you the same. I'm on salary. No matter what I do, I don't even have to show up. I'm going to get this money, right? So like for me to like go into business for myself, that's doing something legal. I got to figure out how to do this. I got to figure out how to make these metrics meet the margin that I need, right? It's not the same as me going and buying some stuff on the street and then like doing what I do with it. I just know the people are going to come. It's not the same. You got to buy what's in demand. You know what I mean? And I think and I know there's probably going to be some people that are like, you know, never been in the streets. And so they're probably appalled by the fact that I'm even comparing, you know, the streets to business. It's the same concept, guys. The street life is the same concept in business. It's just as legit. And people have figured out what item is in demand enough to be able to monopolize on it. Um, but I learned a lot from being in the streets, and therefore it goes well with eBay because all I got to do is take all the skills I learned in the street and put it into doing something the right way. Somebody told me when I was in treatment, when I first got off drugs, they said if you put half the effort into being legit in business as you did into selling drugs, you'll go far. And so that stuck with me. That really resonated with me that all I got to do is just go this hard for doing legal stuff and I could be just as successful. Uh Miss Lachey says, Biff, you're usually right. In my opinion, I'm usually one of your likes. I went back to 20 a day and it's been going great. I'm at 20 a day now and it's going great. About a month or so ago, I downloaded my listings quality report, started doing what they suggested. My sales are up 74.5%. That's amazing. Congratulations, Rob. Yeah, people don't look that deep though. They don't look for what's right in front of their face. Um, Posh Sidekick is free for 30 days, 15. I don't know what those numbers mean. But question for you guys that share, is there a software out there that I can dictate which listings get shared? Case in point, I'm using Flipped right now, Flip, and it only allows me to share 6,000 random items, right? But I have over 6,000 items in my Poshmark store. Is there a way for me to share with some program that I can pick 1,000 items from my Poshmark store and share those 1,000 items? or do I have to be stuck with a random generated set of listings that I have no control over? Because what I'm finding is that with using Flip or even with Posture VA, I can only share items at random, right? And then it's going to pick from my whole entire store and share those items. So right now with Flip, I have 6,000 shares. It's only sharing 6,000 items once, right? I want to be able to share 1,000 items 6 times, if that makes sense. So if anybody knows any software that does that for me, I'd be really, really thankful for you to share that information with me. Let's see. Also, picking up better items overall helps. 100%. 100%. Junk Monkey must be listening to Tommy Bernard about the quality report. People are getting outdated or flat out wrong information from Facebook groups. I can believe that. What's up, Craig? How you doing, bro? Land Shark Picker in the building. They can run a silent auction for you on Posh. You get 7 per week. I don't even know how to. I don't know that much about Poshmark yet, guys. I'm still learning. Uh, Paul sent Rob an email about the listing quality report. What's up, Andy? How you doing, bro? Uh, Miss Lachey says we all have things we prefer to sell, but don't get stuck there. Be willing to learn new categories. That's right. And if clothing stops working for me right now, I'm fully into clothing, right? If something was to not work in clothing for me, best believe I'm gonna switch categories before I give up. 100%. I'll go back to selling shoes if I got to, but before I quit reselling, I'm gonna change the game. You know what I mean? I'm gonna change the item. I'm gonna change the strategy. I'm gonna do everything that I can, and I'm gonna exhaust all options before I give up. Because it's just not what it's about. You know what I mean? Like we got into this thing to really do something for ourselves and really do something for like absolute affluence says right here, the community. I got in this to help the community, right? So like that's why I do these YouTube videos. I'm not YouTube isn't paying me enough for it to be worth it. I do this to help people because that's where my heart's at. So um we got to exhaust all the options, right? And if I find something that works, I'm going to tell you guys. If I find something that doesn't work, I'm going to tell you guys in hopes that it'll save you some steps, especially the new people, because they need all the help they can get. It's a different day and age than when I started, and it's a different day and age when I started than when from other people started. But how are you doing? Absolute affluence. Is it affluence or is it affluence? Affluence, probably. Let's see here. Yep. Live selling is a game changer once you attract buyers. It's a true eye opener. It's a little bit different with the live selling too, because you can see in real time whether somebody wants that item or not. Instead of you listing it for 90 days and then waiting for the right buyer to come along, if you got a live stream going with 100 items in there and don't nobody want it, that item's trash. So it's a lot more of an eye-opening experience when it comes down to inventory. If you live by discount stores in your area, Ross, Gabe's, Burlington, etc., compare the prices to your thrift, finding great new items just a few dollars more with more profit. I don't have none of those stores near me, but I know tons of people that have great success doing that exact thing. Resellers have to keep learning and anticipate change. Adversity is a guarantee. 100%. You cannot get away from that. Vintage Vonnie says, "Hello, Marcus. I've been watching and reading the chat. Forgot to say hello. Hey, how you doing? Welcome, welcome." Um, you said it there. We have to be able to adapt. Very true. Personally, I wish we didn't have to change so much. Yeah, and I honestly, I would like to not change so much either because with changing, you got to figure out what part of this do I have to change, and if that doesn't work, then you got to figure out do I need to go back to doing that and change something else, or do I need to do two totally different things? You know what I mean? But sometimes I'm up for the challenge. Um, it would be different if I had all my eggs riding on one like reselling basket, but luckily, at this point in life, I've gotten my living expenses down and I've started implementing. Like I have 8 streams of income right now. They're not all great, profitable streams of income, but collectively together, I can pay my bills without eBay money. So I'm thankful. Am I doing like exceedingly well with those? Like if I took reselling away, nah, I definitely would be struggling. So reselling is still my bread and butter. Brandon says it's all supply and demand, 100%. If ain't nobody trying to buy it, you can have all the supply you want and not get anywhere. I could sell you guys a bunch of, used kitty litter. Who wants that? Nobody wants that. I can get you bags of that stuff. Nobody wants that. You mentioned you've been in the streets. If I may ask, have you ever done time? Yeah, I've done time twice. A few years for robbery and then a year and a half for trafficking. That's where I got saved at. I got saved in prison. That's where I met Jesus. I'm teaching my 14-year-old how to do pictures and start drafts. Hey, start them early. Who is this Josh Galt guy I keep hearing people talk about over the last week or two? I've heard his name so much like he's an authority. I have no idea who he is. I can't tell if you're being serious, Paul, but he's just a reseller. He stays in Canada. Um, but I think he's got about 20,000 items almost listed on eBay right now. And he's a man for the people. His channel's not monetizing. He's got about 10,000 subscribers. And he does a live every day about 1 p.m. our time, or is it 12 p.m. our time? Uh, and he just talks about every day it's something different, a topic on reselling. And um, he looks at things from a different standpoint than most people because he's not showing bolos. He's not saying this is how you sell. He's literally getting on there and talking about hot takes on the reselling. I would suggest checking him out. I don't see Hillary anywhere, so she can't share his link. But if somebody that has a wrench can share Josh's link in the channel or in the chat, I would appreciate it. I would. I want you to go check his videos out, Paul, just to be able to receive the value he provides. I don't deal with Facebook groups, lots of crazy ideas. I don't even have Facebook on my phone anymore. I deleted it. Hey Brianna, how you doing? Would you ever pick up an item without a size tag in it? I do it all the time. I've yet to have a month where I don't change my strategy, at least a little. Yeah, that's the way it is nowadays. I have two pair of boots without size tags. I would not pick up shoes without a size tag, but I pick up clothing without size tags all the time. Right, junk. Life's always changing. Business is always changing. You just have to roll with it and keep adapting if you want to be successful. Rob says flexible is too rigid. You must be fluid. I heard that, man. Daily Refinement was talking tonight, last video about Poshmark. He was talking about a 3,000 item closet was optimal. Poshmark was not made for too big a closet. Just a thought. Yeah, I 100% agree with that. I don't watch any of his videos anymore, but I totally 1000% agree with that. Um, and I would think even a 3,000 item store is too big. I would think that you really might want like 1,000 item store and just be able to share the crap out of 1,000 great items. Um, I would think that that works better because I know that my sales have slowed down now that I've gotten over 6,000 items on my store. Um, and I was doing much better when I was at 1,000 and 2,000. But it's, just part of the game. I have a big store, so I got to get it all listed. Fluids are fine, thank you. That's what Urethra said, Andy So Meta. Change is inevitable. Gotta get used to it. Hey, Nita, how you doing? Billy says, I think changing strategy is always good. Absolutely. There's Josh Galt's channel in the chat. If you guys want to check it out, please do. Hey Marcus, question about unisex adult clothing. Does listing it as unisex show up both men's and women's categories or only in unisex if buyer selects on the search? So it's only going to show up in unisex. Um, but in this circumstance, I would just list it in the men's category. Because a man is not going to go to a women's category unless that's the type of man he is. I'm not going to say any names or any alphabet numbers because that'll get you flagged on YouTube. But if that's the type of person he is, he's going to go to the women's category. But a man is not going to, a heterosexual man's not going to go to the women's category looking for anything to buy. A woman will go to the men's category and buy stuff all day long, regardless of her sexual orientation. She will buy men's clothing and wear it. So just list it in the men's category. don't use the unisex category. It has way less traction than either of the other two options. Mike Starr, what's going on? I appreciate you and am taking care of my people with your knowledge and experiences. God bless you. That's what it's all about right there, guys. If I get one person like this that I can make a difference in their life by sharing the knowledge, this guy's not in my Patreon. This guy's not a channel member, and he's feeding his family off the information I provide. That's what it's all about. You don't need to pay me for anything, guys. Just watch the videos and you will learn value. People out there troll me all the time because I started a Patreon. I started a Patreon because I don't have time to do these lives and sit here and answer everybody's questions all the time, right? Because I got a life to live too. So if you want the fast track, yeah, you can pay me for some answers. But the goal of the Patreon is to train you right out of it. Bobby used to be, I'm gonna find Bobby. Where's Bobby at? Bobby used to be in the Patreon. She's no longer in the Patreon. She got the value she needed and got out of there. You know what I mean? You don't have to stay in it, but the knowledge is out there, and I just want to help as many people as I can. So I'm glad you're receiving value from it, Mike. Mr. Guyman Jr. says it's not the strongest who survive, it's those most able to adapt. Darwin. Hey, Darwin dropping gems. That's fire. I'll do 20% off coupon on my store. Let that end, then do a 20% off markdown on items 90 days plus and just keep switching it up. I've heard some people having some great success with ending their sales like a week early and then re-indexing the markdown sale, and then their sales go gangbusters for a couple days. So um, as long as you're seeing traction from whatever method you implement, that's really all that matters. Brianna says, I'm struggling. I have two or three shirts without the tag. How do you gauge the size or what do you put in your description? So I just base it off measurements. I measure the pit to pit. And if it's 18 across, that's going to be a small into a medium. It just depends on the maker. But without you being able to tell, I would just go on the smaller side. And then if it's 19 to 21, that's going to be about a medium to a large. Um, and then 21 or 22 to like 24 is an extra large. But in these instances where I don't have the size tag to tell which maker it is, I'm just going to price it. I'm just going to list it on the lower end of the spectrum. But it comes into play with knowing what brands make clothing oversized. Carhartt is bigger. Like a men's medium and a Carhartt is like the extra large in some brands. So you just got to know that. You got to know whether it's a classic fit or if it's an athletic fit. You got to know if it's a slim fit, and just really just Google shirt size chart, and you can look and see for the closest you can get to that, and then just make a note of it. Size tag is missing. Please check measurements to verify that this shirt fits, or check your favorite t-shirt compared to these measurements and make sure it fits. Just put it somewhere and put it in your condition description and in your actual description. So that way they can have two chances to see that they need to measure this item or they need to check measurements. And then I usually just call it a Gildan because Gildan's like the number one blank maker out there. Poshmark is more of a boutique, so limiting the number of items is best. Less is more. I have tens of thousands of clothes. I would bottleneck a Poshmark closet. Yeah, yeah. You would not be making a lot of traction over there with that many items listed. Rob says, I sell men's jeans to women from the men's category all the time. Yep. I see women in the bins pick up men's Levi's that are blatantly men's, hold it up to their waist, and then put it over their shoulder and walk away. Like they're going to wear those. You know what I mean? You're not going to see I don't know, like me, I'm not going to pick up a pair of women's skinny jeans and like hold it up to my waist and be like, yeah, that's the look, and put it over my shoulder and walk off. It's not happening. I buy men's hoodies all the time, especially for winter. Going to keep my posh closet to 250 just because of my limited space. There you go. Sorry guys. Um, yeah, my girlfriends have wore my hoodies and t-shirts my whole life. I've never worn one of my girlfriend's hoodies. Never. Your Patreon is key because you are associating with successful sellers. Steve Harvey once said, you hang out with the four broke dudes, you will be the fifth. The same goes for hanging with successful people. Absolutely. And that's how I am with my Christian walk too. I hang out with the pastor of my church. I don't know. any much better of example of a man of God to follow than my pastor. And I hang out with several other members of my church that are much further along in their walk with Christ than I am, because that's what my heart is about. I want to be the best Christian man I can be. And I know a lot of people here don't care about that, but that's fine. That's what matters to me in my life. So I put myself around that. Brianna says, thank you so much. No problem. The law of attraction. Yeah, to a degree. I don't believe in the law of attraction because of my faith. Um, but yeah, it's sort of kind of like that. How do you size women's boots without tags? You can look at a shoe chart. Then it'll tell you in inches what size they are based off the inches. Now that's not going to be 100%, but you can usually go by the brand. Type, like, let's say Dansko for example. You can type in Dansko shoe size chart and it'll bring it up, and you can measure the bottom of the sole or the insole or whatever. You can measure that with a yardstick, ruler, whatever the case may be, and that'll give you a close enough estimate to where you can list it as that, but then make a note that the size is worn off or the tag's missing or whatever the case may be. But in general, you just stay away from that stuff. But you look good in skinny jeans. I wear skinny jeans. I ain't wearing no women's skinny jeans though. I found that when people troll others for something they're doing, it's because they secretly want to do it, but don't have the guts, courage, or know how. Just saying, that's 100% true. No one's ever hating on someone because uh they really truly like just don't like, well, I mean, they do it because they don't like that person, but no one's ever hating for a legit reason. I've never seen. That's not a good quality to have, especially for a man. If you're a man and you come to another man's channel or another person in life, it doesn't have to be on social media, but if you feel the need to address someone's behavior, even if it's negative, even if that man's doing something wrong, what is it any of your business for? Why do you feel the need to go address something? Why do you feel the need to go speak out on something? That shows how weak you are. That shows how much of a, for lack of a better term, that shows how lame somebody is, right? To where you have no business of your own to why you're in someone else's business. When I went to prison for 3 years, that's the first thing I learned was keep your nose to yourself. Don't pay attention to what nobody else is doing in there because it ain't got no business to do with you. It's got nothing to do with you. You know, and I'm not saying like, not even on like a snitch thing, but like if I see somebody sitting in their cell doing something that's got nothing to do with me, I'm gonna just keep it moving. I didn't see nothing. You know what I mean? And I expect people to be like that in life. Don't worry about what I'm doing over here. If I put a video out for you guys to get value from, watch the video, right? But if you feel like what I'm doing is like so wrong, you might need to worry about what you're doing wrong first. Worry about the plank in your eye before you talk to me about the speck in mine. You know what I mean? That's from the Bible. So I don't be out here trying to tell anybody what they're doing wrong or what they're doing right, even. For the most part, like I might comment on somebody that like I really rock with or I really respect. I might comment on something like that, like Josh. I think Josh is great content. I might comment on like James's videos because that's my friend. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I'm too busy working, guys, to even watch YouTube content nowadays to be hating on somebody for something they're doing. So you gotta just do what works for you, man, and stick to the script. Don't worry about all these a lot of these people on YouTube for attention or to try to be the next Harry Tornado. I'm not trying to be the next Harry Tornado. I got no interest in doing that. If you're the smartest person in the room, then you're in the wrong room, Confucius. Exactly. I think I'm the dumbest person out of all the people I hang out with. And I'm okay with that because at some point I won't be the dumbest person and I'll be able to share that knowledge with someone else and then bring them up to my level. That's the thing about the Patreon. I can't tell you how to make 1 million, but I can definitely show you how to make 6 figures. One day I'll be able to teach you how to make 1 million, but not right now. If you go by centimeters, you can cross-reference from UK size. Yeah, I think there in their circumstances, there's no size tag whatsoever. Yep, that's why I'm trying to get out of the restaurant bar scene. Just not really many people I connect with anymore since I quit drinking and gave my life to Jesus. I agree. I hate food service nowadays. I used to love it, but I got out of that stuff and I was like, I'll never go back to that. Those who do do, those who can't do troll. Yeah, be a boss. Absolutely. Um, and with that being said, too, you got to kind of love the hate a little bit because if nobody's hating on you, then that means you don't have anything valuable to say, right? You're not challenging people, you're not pushing buttons, you're not making people analyze internally what are they doing that they need to improve on. Sometimes people don't like, facing their inadequacies, right? When someone's made me feel insecure in the past, I popped off on them. I got smart, you know what I mean? I would say slick stuff. But then I realized that that was a negative trait, and it was because I wasn't secure enough with the man that I was, right? Um, and eventually you learn to move past that, or you don't, or you don't. Uh, but I feel like if you're stuck, I'm not the same man I was 2 years ago. No, last time I was the same man I was 10 years ago that was trying to fight people and stuff like that. That stuff's stupid. If you're like out here arguing with people and wanting to fight people, like you're very immature, you got a lot of growing to do. If you're in somebody's comment section, clapping back, having ongoing conversations with somebody, they really rent space in your head and you just gotta do an internal what's it called, a self inventory to figure out why you're so insecure and you feel like this person needs to be, you got to be validated to this particular person. um Rob says, I once heard the things we dislike the most in others is the thing we dislike the most about ourselves. You wouldn't believe me if I told you who said that. I don't know. I'm sure that there's a lot of people that said that because I've heard that quote too. Do every day like a boss and elevate others. Exactly. Rodney says, been way pickier and couldn't find items I was satisfied with this weekend. I decided to hit one more store before calling it, and I scored five seventh gen iPods. Hey, and two Zooms. Nice. Hold off for good items. Yeah, and sometimes it's better off to not pick up something than to pick up a bunch of stuff that's not worth it. I picked up 92 items at the binge yesterday. That's not enough for me to pick up. That's not enough for me to list the whole week, but I'm not going to pick up items that are underneath the metrics that I'm trying to reach just to be able to reach 20 listings a day. If I don't find it, I'm just not going to list 20 items a day. I'm going to average what I do have and list that number a day until I go outsourcing again. If you know you're not the smartest person in the room, be quiet and listen, and one day you will be. You can learn so much more by listening than you can by talking. God gave us two ears and one mouth. It's more important to listen more than talk more. 100%. I don't know if it's just me, but you cut out a little bit. Am I still here? My mic sucks, guys. Roseanne Barr, huh? Way to go, Roseanne. Find anything at your local thrift lately? I haven't gone to my local thrift in 2 weeks. Last time I went there, I found a few items. I value my peace. I value my peace too. I only picked up 10 items at the binge yesterday. Could have left with a car full, but the payoff wasn't worth it. That's what's been happening with me lately. Like I see all these items that I used to pick up, and I'm like, man, I could fill this cart up to where it's overflowing, but that means I'm gonna have to work 5 times as hard to make the same amount of money. So I've just been passing on it. Let's see. Where you make your money is on the buy side. Not buying a bad item is key. Absolutely. How do they charge at your bins? Oh, it's $1.89 per pound at my bins. So we're coming to the end of this time here, guys. It's 4 past the hour. I normally only stay on till 8. So I really appreciate you guys coming and hanging out with me. Really enjoyed talking to you guys tonight. Hopefully you guys are understanding that it's only hard for a season. You just got to adapt. You got to pivot. You got to evolve. You got to be diligent. You got to do the research, find items that are going to sell for you, and then just pour gas on what works. So that's going to do it for this one. Catch you guys on the next one. Until then, let's make this cash, guys.